All right, I wanted to start off by saying yes, I do wear my sunglasses at night. Great song, by the way. But I have a very awesome gun to show you guys that kind of warrants this special getup. And so I'm just going to start off with what I'm drinking first to celebrate this occasion. And we have some Johnny Walker Double Black Scotch. Excellent stuff. I know it's not entirely appropriate because, as you know, as of the time of this recording, it is now October, which means Oktoberfest, right? And I just so happen to be wearing a German police jacket, which I don't know if you can see that, but it says Polizei right there on the back. So I have a legit German police jacket. I'm wearing my shades because I'm cool, right? And I have a really cool gun. So let's just show it off here. Bang! Look at that. That is a true blue H&K P7M8 9mm. And it's also a police gun too, because as I'll get into the history of this really, really cool piece, it's got a certain mark on here that says it is, in fact, a police trade-in. So we'll get into some really awesome details on the story behind this gun, how I found it, and why I'm so ecstatic, pleased to have it, and I'm feeling great. I had to make a video on it. It's gonna be a good time. So we'll get right into it. Okay, so I ditched the shades because it's a little ridiculous. I don't want to do the whole video in those, but I'm just feeling pretty good right now about this thing. So my story behind this is, I'll give you guys a good look at it while I'm talking here, is every once in a while, about every week, every 2 weeks, at least every month, I'll do what I like to call make my rounds around town. So I'll go to all of the local gun stores, pawn shops, and I'll do my usual, just look around, see what they have. And this past weekend, actually, I was walking into a pawn shop that I don't frequent too often because there's not really a whole lot in there I usually find that I want. Pawn shops tend to be kind of hit or miss for me in this area, but walked in there and I was wearing my HK brand hat because I just got done at the range that day. And I'm just walking around and I see in the case there is this wonderful pistol sitting right in there. And I thought, oh man, you just don't see these very often, right? And then I saw the price tag and I almost, my first reaction was, wow, that's really cheap. But then my second thought was, there's probably something wrong with it, right? Because there's no way it could be that cheap, right? There has to be something wrong with it, surely. So I went over and the manager happened to be working that day, and I said, hey man, I noticed you had, and he's like, don't say anymore. I know what you want. I can tell by the hat. I was like, okay. So we walk over to the case and he pulls the pistol out for me and I'm taking a look at it. And I mean, the camera is not really going to do it too much justice because honestly, my lighting is terrible right now. And this is an all black gun. So, but I'll have a link to some pictures that I took, some better pictures, so you guys can get some better details of this thing. But handed it to me, and it looked to be you can tell already, this thing is actually in really, really good condition. But the outside condition doesn't tell the whole story. So I said, hey man, can I take it apart? Can I look on the inside? And he's like, well, I only want you to do that if you know what you're doing. And honestly, my P7 knowledge was a little bit rusty because honestly, you just don't see these very often. So I had to look up how to actually take these apart. And the way you do that is there's this little button back here, right? This is not a safety, it's not anything. All it is a button you have to press in to take the slide off of the pistol. I have a dummy round here, so I'm going to clear that real quick. I'll show you guys how this works. So if you've ever handled a Makarov or a PPK, you know that basically you have to pull it all the way back up and off. Well, this works kind of similar to that because it is a blowback firearm. But all you got to do is you got to press and hold that button right there, and then bring it back just slightly, just ever so slightly, and then lift it off just like that. The recoil spring's stuck. So let's see. Here is the frame and the pistol without the slide. It's got a It's got a fixed barrel, and it is, shall we say, very German, very complicated, and very engineering on the inside of this pistol. But I repeat myself. I took the grips off of this thing when I was starting to clean it up and everything, because I always do that with a used gun. I take everything apart, at least as much as reasonable, and got inside here, and let's just say all the mechanism that's inside this pistol is so complicated. I'm probably never going to detail strip this gun in my life, at least not me. Maybe I'll pay somebody else to do it, but I am not going to do that because this thing is horrendously complicated and quite German. So the slide is pretty neat. It's kind of small, and even though it is small, this gun has a barrel length of 4.1 inches, which is longer than a Glock 19. But man, look how small that is, all that barrel length in such a small gun. That's pretty cool. So I will say that, obviously you can't pick out all the details here in the slide, but I will say this thing is absolutely impeccable when it comes to the machining quality. It is absolutely amazing. This is the kind of money that you pay for when it comes to the more vintage, like H&K products, and even the new ones too. There's a reason why you pay that much money, and it's partly because they hate you too as a customer, but also because they actually make pretty good stuff. So the unique feature about this is this hanging piston there, as you can see, right? So the way this thing works is it's a gas retarded or gas delayed blowback, if you want to be more PC about it. So there is a hole that's drilled into this barrel that sits way underneath here, and this piston sits inside of that little tube, that hole. So basically, when you fire it, the round ignites, rounds going down the barrel, but that little port that's drilled into the barrel here keeps the gas inside, basically this tube here, and that pushes against the piston that you saw on the slide, and that keeps the slide locked in place as the bullet leaves the barrel. Now, when the gas pressures and everything else finally lower to a safe level, the slide will unlock and cycles the gun. So, pretty interesting method of operation. I think there's only two other pistols I can think of that do that, and that is the Steyr GB and the Walther CCP series of pistols. That's the only ones I know of that actually have the same kind of action. So Steyr GBs are also one of those super kind of rare guns that not a whole lot of people know about, and the magazines themselves are something crazy, but that's a story for a different day. Maybe I'll get one someday. I don't know. We'll see. So but with this piston, so back to the story, when I was handling this gun, taking it apart and everything in the pawn shop, my friend had told me, he's kind of a read-up dude when it comes to firearms too, and he said, well, if you're buying a P7, you have to check this piston. Absolutely check the piston, because this is a very, very high wear carbon buildup area. I mean, this thing will get absolutely filthy when it fires. And sure enough, I checked it, and it had a lot of carbon buildup on it. So I said, "Hey man, do you have any cleaning supplies? Can you clean the piston off for me a little bit so I can get an idea of the condition? Because if these like rings here are not within spec, this gun won't work properly. It'll unlock far too early. So it's very, very important that this piston is in good condition when you look to buy one of these in good working order." But luckily for me, this one actually was in very, very good shape. So I was very happy with that. The internals looked fine. It was just a little dirty. Nothing a little TLC won't take care of. So, and then the cherry on top was it came with an additional magazine. And so if you well, I'll just show you the mag. Here's the mag. Looks kind of simple. Nothing special about these, but the magazines for these run about $120, $125 each, so they come at a premium. So it was very nice that this pistol came with another magazine. Now, it also came with the original box, as you can see here. I'll have some more pictures in the description. You guys can look at that. So, original manual, original little brush tool. I'm probably never going to use that, but it also came with this scraper tool, and these are about $60 to $85 depending on where you get them. So the fact that it came with this saved me a bit of money. This is used to get inside of the kind of the, I don't want to call it a gas tube, but it's a tube shaped kind of thing that sits underneath the barrel here, and you stick this rod in here to kind of scrape all the carbon out of it to make sure that it doesn't get too built up in there, because that can affect the function of this gun if you let it get too built up. So yeah, so it came with the original box, which is always cool, especially for me, especially for this gun being a kind of a collector's piece. It adds so much value when you have the original box, you have the original manual, everything's in good shape, you have the original tools. You know, the more stuff you have that's original to the gun, the more value you can expect to get out of it, or at least ask for. So that's definitely something that's pretty nice. So all these things taken together, so I was talking to the guy and I said, man, like this is in great condition. You know, I was checking everything out. I could not find anything that was at fault with the gun. So the price was just super low. He only wanted $17.50 for the whole thing. And I did some research, and basically for a P7M8 pistol in this condition, you know, with the case and everything else, the lowest bid or starting bid I could find on Gunbroker was sitting right around $2,300. So I was like, oh shit, I have to buy this now, because if I don't, it's gonna be the curse of a gun shop. Because let me tell you something, if you go to a gun shop or a pawn shop or wherever else you're buying your guns and you find something you really like, and you don't come across it that often, if you don't buy it then and there and you say, oh, I can just come back later, I need to save some more money, I need to go move some things, you know, I need to take care of stuff before I can buy this gun, I'll just come back to it later. I guarantee you, every time, at least for me, it's never there. It's never there when I come back, and I've been so disappointed so many times. So, and the manager agreed with me too, but it's probably because he wanted to sell the thing, right? But that's always been my luck, is if I come back, it's not going to be there. So I told myself I have to get this right here, right now. The price is right. Everything's here. The gun's in great condition. So I need to find a way to get this. So I said, well, do you guys take guns in trade? And he said, yeah, sure. So I decided to go back home, rummage through my safe, and find all the things that I felt like I could part with at the time. So I ended up trading my Turkish Mauser, my Beretta 81, unfortunately. Oh well, I can get another one later. A Sky pistol, the SCCY pistol. That was my first carry gun that I bought many years ago. I don't need it anymore because I have better guns for that. And I also sold my non-functioning, well, it functions, but it has issues, a C96 broom handle Mauser. And let's just say I got burned on that gun, but I'll tell a story about that later. So, but I also offered a Rossi, a Rossi 357 lever gun, which he wasn't going to give me anything for, because Rossi Taurus guns tend to have a bit of a bad reputation. So he didn't give me a whole lot for that. I kept it. I also tried to trade my Walther PPK to him as well, but he didn't want a whole lot for it either, so I decided to keep it. So in total, I traded 4 guns, and he gave me about $800 worth of trade-in credit towards this pistol, which I'm totally fine with, because that takes a lot of effort and time off of me, and allows me to put it towards something that I really want and probably will never see again. So let me get this back together real quick, and then I'll continue my story. So, you know, I really wanted this gun. Oh man, this thing is... Okay, so, an interesting point about reassembling this. You have to get this hanging piston here into the gas trap here just right. You have to do it just right, and honestly, it's kind of a pain in the ass. So bear with me here as I try to get this thing settled correctly into the freaking... There we go. Okay, cool. We got it back together. Now, so I had about, plus tax, I had about $1,000 left to pay out of pocket. So I ended up doing that. Well, the guy said to me, he said, you know what, I'm the manager, I can authorize discounts, and then because I know, he knows me pretty well, I come in there pretty often, and he knows I like the old stuff, I like the old guns, and he very clearly knows I'm an HK fan, which I am. So he says, you know what, this pistol is going to somebody who's going to appreciate it. You know, you're paying it all off right here, right now. You're not putting it on layaway. So I'll give you a discount and I'll give you a box of ammo for free. And I said, deal, man. I'm cool with that. So the final price of the pistol, not including tax, was $16.50, which is almost nothing for this, if you ask me. Um, you know, and then add the tax on top of that. You know, I'm still paying about $1,000 out of pocket. But all in all, I was very, very happy with the purchase. I mean, this thing has been just excellent to me. Out of the limited time that I've owned it, just awesome. So that's my story with picking this up. Now, the actual history behind this series of guns is related to my other German police pistols, the P5 and the P6. So in the 70s, the German police basically wanted newer, better, more capable pistols to replace their aging Walther PP pistols chambered in 32, which, you know, at the time, they just weren't getting the job done. So a bunch of trial guns were submitted by different companies, SIG, Walther, and HK, and all three pistols were accepted as the P5, P6, and P7, but it was up to the individual counties or states, if you want to call them, in Germany to pick their own pistols. And this P7 here, was the most successful, the best out of the bunch, but it was also the most expensive. So not a whole lot of police departments really picked this up and instead opted for the cheaper options like the P5 and the P6, which I also have. So this particular gun with P7s, they have quite a long history actually. You know, being made in the 70s all the way up until the mid 2000s. So these have been made for quite a while. And this particular one, after doing some research, I found out that there is a mill mark on the slide right here, and you can see right there. Let me see if I can get closer with my pencil here. As you can see right here, if the light will catch it, there is a big old mill mark right there. And what that is a police trademark. Or trade-in mark, I should say. So when police departments traded these guns in, they traded them back to HK for credit towards a more modern USP pistol. And they had to mill off their specific police department or state county mark. Now, with my other police pistols, the P5 and the P6, and also my Walther PP, which also happens to be a police gun, all of their county marks are scrubbed out or crossed out or lined out. They have something to remove them to denote that they are no longer in official service. And that is exactly what that is. So not only is it a P7, it is the model you know, that a actual police agency used in Germany. And that is freaking awesome because that fits perfectly with the line of the rest of my police pistols. Now, the P5, P6, P7, the 70s guns, 80s guns are complete now, and I have all three, and I will be doing a video on all three coming up here pretty soon. But so that's why this pistol was so special to me and why I needed it at the time, because really you just don't see these in person that often, because the people who own these tend to hoard them. They tend to hold on to them as tight as they can, and I've had these. Some people describe these P7s as the Python, the Colt Python of semi-auto pistols, and I tend to agree with them, having owned a Python myself, and I still own it actually, but another story for a different day. So, so this pistol is just perfectly what I wanted it to be. The only way it could be better is if I had a PSP model from the 80s. To match the date codes with my other pistols. This one was made in the 90s, so it's a little bit newer, and it's also the M8 version, so it has a different style, different style mag release right here. It's got that paddle mag release instead of a heel release like the first models have. It's got the enlarged trigger guard, and it also has a polymer heat shield up in the trigger area. So that's what makes the M8 different from the PSP model, which was the first iteration of this gun. So, more history about this gun. So this is also one of the first pistols to use a standard, what we consider standard 3-dot sight. So very, very basic plain sights. They're not very good for target shooting, as I found out. I took this thing to the range almost immediately, and after I cleaned it up and made sure all the internals are working just fine, and took it out to the range, and we'll get into my shooting impression. So I put about 200 rounds through this gun, but I did it very slowly because, as anyone who owns these pistols can tell you, they get hot very, very quickly. I put about 6 magazines worth of ammo through this gun pretty much continuously, and let's just say it was so hot I couldn't hold it unless I had gloves on. So that is one of the downsides of this gas system that it uses here, is that this whole area here on the gun gets extremely hot. So it was not made for dumping 200-300 rounds in one sitting. It just wasn't meant for that. But it will hold up to the heat. It won't damage the gun or anything like that, because German engineering, they thought of everything. So the unique feature of this gun obviously is this huge freaking grip thing here, right? And so the way this works is it's a striker fired gun, but it's not like a traditional striker fired gun. So in order to cock it, you have to actually grip this big lever here. You have to squeeze it, right? So maybe if you can hear it, now it's cocked, and you can see the little protrusion out here in the back. That's the striker. So when this is cocked, you have to hold the grip here, the grip safety, if you want to call it that, and then you can pull the trigger on it, just like that. And then once you let the lever go, it decocks the gun safely. So quite an unusual pistol. I don't know of any other pistols that use an action quite like that. And let's just say it took a lot of getting used to when I was shooting this gun. And I've shot a lot of pistols. I've shot a lot of guns. I have a wide range of experience, and this one is by far the most unusual I have ever shot. I did not shoot it very well, to say the least. So I will say, though, the trigger pull on this is quite light. It is just, oh man, super light, pretty crisp. No reset to speak of. It wasn't meant for that kind of shooting. Way back in the day, they didn't really care a whole lot about resets. So resets kind of non-existent, but it wasn't really intended for that. So I don't hold it against it. Then again, I don't really shoot to reset anyways, so it doesn't bother me. What else to say about this? So how it feels shooting is, if you've ever shot a straight blowback gun like a Makarov or a PP, it feels very much like that, but muted. Like the recoil, I guess the sharpness of it, the suddenness of it is a little bit dampened because of the gas system in here. That being said, 9mm out of this gun doesn't recoil hardly at all. I ran 115 grains, 124 grain NATO. I ran 147 grains. I ran hollow points, defensive ammo, steel case, all kinds of stuff through this gun, and it ate it up. It did not matter. Recoil was really not that bad at all. Getting back on target was pretty quick, pretty easy. With a 3-dot sight, it's really nothing out of the ordinary when it comes to sight picture. So it worked 100% flawlessly, pretty much like I expected it to. Accuracy wise, at 10 yards, I was drilling the same hole through the target, and it just got boring after a while, so I moved it out to 25 yards, which is my usual distance that I shoot pistols at, because that really tests you in your fundamentals and your ability to shoot accurately. So, not being very familiar with this gun, I did not do very well at 25 yards, I'm going to tell you that right now. But the cool thing is, with this gun, it is so heinously accurate that any little misstep or deviation on your part, it will absolutely show on your target. Like it will show. If you're off by even a little bit, of a flea's hair on your sight picture, on your grip, on your trigger control, your everything, it will show on the target. And that definitely was showing for me because I was not used to this grip cocker thing. So I was like death gripping it. I was holding it really tight because I thought, man, I'm gonna need some serious grip strength to hold that the grip safety in place. But it turns out you don't. You only need about 2-3 pounds of force to keep it in place, but you need about 15 or 16 to actually cock it in the first place. So I was absolutely holding onto that thing, and my hands were shaking. I was getting tired, and this gun kind of wore me out. So I know this gun can shoot better. It's just a matter of practice on my end and getting used to the gun, getting familiarized with it. I will say this is one of the guns that has definitely thrown me for a loop as far as accuracy, because I can shoot pretty much any pistol accurately. I've never had an issue doing that. I mean, that comes from years of experience at shooting pistols, but this one definitely is it's just so unique, so different, and such a high quality pistol that it just it's a perfect storm. So shooting this was an absolute joy. Getting the magazines in and out, I absolutely love paddle releases like this. I don't like traditional like push buttons with the paddle. I can just take my other. Usually when I'm shooting, I shoot right-handed. I'll take my middle finger here and take my support hand off. Push the lever here with my middle finger. Take the mag out. Put a new one in. You're good to go. And that's what I tend to do. And the cool thing about this, so I'm gonna lock it open here for you. So let's say you've shot all the rounds out of your mag. Oh no, I got to reload, right? So you pop your mag out, and I'll put a dummy round in just to show this. So as you may have noticed, on this gun there is no slide lock release lever. Well, there is a slide lock, but it's not a release. But I'll get to that in a second. So you're thinking, man, how do I release this other than slingshotting it, right? Well, all you have to do is just squeeze it. Bam. And now, good to go. How cool is that, right? So definitely a different manual of arms than pretty much any other pistol I've used. Super, super cool. I love it. I think it's fun. It's accurate. I mean, the mags just like fly out of that thing. You got to make the sound too, otherwise it won't fly out. So, like I mentioned earlier, there is I'm going to try to show this on camera here. So there is, you see the mag release lever right here. There is a little like kind of tab right there that's kind of, as you can see, kind of etched out right there. That is also a slide lock lever. So if you got to really press your thumb on it and kind of pull the slide back, and it'll lock open just like that. Bam. You're good to go. So that was my shooting experience with this gun. Really pleasant, except for the heat issue. But I mean, this gun can't necessarily be perfect in every way, right? There's got to be some flaw about it, right? So yeah. After the 6 or 7 mags I put through it, I had to end up wearing gloves to actually shoot this, and I would let it sit on the bench for 15-20 minutes to let it cool down, and I had it set up in such a way that the airflow would kind of get to it on both sides, rather than just laying it flat on the table. And it did cool off, actually. If you gave it about 15-20 minutes, it did cool off enough for you to get your hands back on it, but it would heat up again so quickly that I pretty much just wore gloves for the rest of the time that I was shooting it, which you can definitely do with this pistol. So yeah, I mean, shooting impressions, just totally fun to shoot, superbly accurate. I mean, more accurate than it has any business needing to be. Because I mean, come on, this was intended as a police gun. Can you imagine, like, what kind of police force warrants having a pistol this finely made with this level of quality, that level of accuracy, just everything great about this gun, and how expensive it is? It's just, why would a police department do that? But I mean, this was made for a different time. The philosophy in Germany for their police forces is much different than it is here in the States. So times have changed, definitely. They definitely, as much as I hate saying it, they just don't make them like this anymore. And they also definitely, literally do not make this anymore. So it is a discontinued pistol. They stopped making them in the mid-2000s, and yeah, that's pretty much the story of this gun. So I am still super stoked to have basically a Grail gun for me, because I've pretty much given up on finding a P7 that was also a police trade-in. I figured I would have to settle for some fancy commercial model that was somebody's safe queen that they didn't put any rounds through, and it's going to cost me umpty $1,000,000, but here we go. This one's sitting here, for what I bought it for. And you'll have some purists out there who say, oh, well, this gun is not worth as much because it has the mill mark. Oh, it's no, the value goes way down. To me, that makes it even more valuable, but I don't tell people that, because it has that mill mark, because it was a police gun in Germany, because it has all the German procurement marks. It has the correct import marks on the slide. So this absolutely did. As far as I can tell, it did do service in German police forces, as it was intended to do. And that's just super cool to me, because, you have that connection. You have that history there for a really, really cool pistol. And even on the box, it says made in the Federal Republic of Germany, which that's pretty cool. You just don't see that much anymore. So yeah, I've rambled on for a long time now, but I just really wanted to bring this pistol to you guys, and let folks appreciate this really fine piece of German engineering. And I don't mean the Volkswagen kind either. I mean like true blue German engineering. Okay. What a fantastic pistol. I thought they were overhyped. I thought people were just going out of their way to say this is a great gun just because of the monetary value that it had. But honestly, after shooting it, owning it, taking it apart, cleaning it, servicing it, all that stuff, what they say about this gun is absolutely warranted. I love this gun. It is great. It is absolutely what I would consider, the Python of semi-auto pistols, definitely, for sure. And I say that owning a Python myself. So yeah, I really don't know what else to say about this gun. I mean, if you can find one for a good price, and you kind of know what you're getting into, because with something that demands a price as much as this one does, and the age of these things, and with any milsurp, honestly, you really want to do your research. And I mean, really do your research. Don't just watch like 1 or 2 YouTube videos and call it good. Don't just watch Forgotten Weapons. I mean, like, actually go to websites, old-timey websites, forum posts from like forever ago on these things. Do your research, find out what you can. Check all the internals if you can. They really should let you, because you're spending this much money. You want to make sure that what you're getting is really worth the money. So inspect these guns, definitely take them apart. Most of them are going to be in good condition. I've never seen one that wasn't in good condition. So like I said, people who own these tend to hoard them. They tend to put them in their safe, and they tend to never shoot them. Now for me, I don't own a gun that I can't shoot, and that's just how it's going to be. So if it brings down the value, honestly, I don't care. I want the experience of shooting it, and hopefully I can impart that experience to some of y'all out there too. So make sure it's what you want. You do your research, because you're going to be spending a lot of money for one of these things, and you absolutely want to make sure you don't get burned, because I've been there, I've been burned before, and it sucks. So if you can find one, if you have the financial resources to do so, and the price is right, I would say absolutely pick up one of these gems of history, of German history, police pistol history, and enjoy it, take care of it, and respect it for what it is. And honestly, if you ask me, these things are kind of an investment, because as with anything that's not being made anymore, well, most things that are not made anymore, the value is only going to go up, because there's going to be more people who want these every day, and they're just not being made anymore. So you can expect the prices on these to just keep going up, because if you ask me, they absolutely warrant the price. So I really don't know what else to say about this gun that that either I haven't said already, or you guys can find out on your own from other people on YouTube. Do internet searches, do your research. Luckily there's a lot of documentation about these pistols, a lot of resources for these things. So look them up, do your research, and really find out what these things are about. And once I get, I ordered some custom wood grips for these, which look very, very similar to the Carl Nil, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Carl Nil wood grips for these. I'm going to slap those babies on here, and then once I get that in the mail, I'm going to do another video where I'm going to go over all 3 of the German police pistols, P5, P6, and this P7, and just kind of talk about them in general, how they compare to each other, you know, features and things like that. It's going to be a good video. I'm going to have a lot of fun doing that one. So I just really wanted to bring you guys along and really let you see this absolute, you know, marvel of German engineering. I'm just so happy to have this gun. I mean, I was literally shaking when I was walking out of the store when I realized what I had bought. So I'm going to be broke for a little while. I'm going to be honest, because I'm in the middle of also buying a house at the same time. So, I mean, my wallet is just gone. It's destroyed. But you know what? For something like this, it will pay off in the end. And I'm going to have to live on ramen for a little while. So yeah. You know, but sometimes you just kind of have to bear down and buy something that's just super cool you're not going to see again. So yeah, that's really all I got to say about this gun. I mean, something more will probably come up later in my mind, but I've gone on long enough, and yeah, so I'll get some shooting videos out here pretty soon too, because the first time I took this out, there was a guy there with some, you know, super short 308 AR pistol with this massive fucking muzzle brake, and it was just going bah bah bah, you know, and he had his own camera set up like I do, and it was knocking over his camera stand from the muzzle blast, and it was actually hitting me too. So I didn't want to subject you guys to that absolute racket, that noise, that, you know, the camera's doing this the whole time because his vibrations and the air pressure and all that shit. Just it wasn't conducive to shooting a nice shooting video. So next time I go to the range, I'm going to take this thing out and hopefully get some proper shooting footage so you can get an idea for how this thing actually holds in my hand, how it operates, how it shoots for me. And yeah, you guys can get a more complete picture for this pistol and maybe get a better appreciation for it. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. And yeah, be on the lookout for my police pistol video that I'll be doing here pretty soon, and the shooting footage for this pistol as well. So glad to have you along, and we'll see you next time.